So we're going to deal with business objects, business intelligence, business objects which is used for reporting. Okay. See, there are a lot of tools like Explorer, Excel, CS, all this stuff. Not to worry much on this. Now it is simplified. So there are a lot of overlapping concepts. So what SAP has done now is like say you want to go for analysis, then it will be WebB, self-servicing, tools. It will be overlap analysis for Excel, SAP Lumira, and for dashboarding, it will be Design Studio. See, HANA Studio is different, Design Studio is different, okay? And pixel-based, pixel-perfect reporting. Crystal reports. Crystal reports for enterprise. So this is what you have to focus on. And then, yeah, what okay. And for universe designing, it will be what? IDT, information design tool. And for portal, where you basically publish all your reports for the users, will be Launchpad. And for all administration, CMC. And for server maintenance, about central configuration management, about starting, restarting your server. All. So this is what you have to focus on. So if you look at this, Launchpad is just like a portal where you basically organize all your reports. And CMC, Central Management Console, would be a tool for administration. CCM, Central Configuration Manager, is for restarting or starting a server or setting up server. And these will be your, and IDT will be for creating universe, because universe will be the source for most of the creating of reports in any of these tools. And these will be the tools for components which we leverage it for reporting. Okay. In the last class, we've seen on top of HANA views or tables or column views, how do we create universe? We can go with normal column view or a table, or HANA views directly when you create a HANA business layer, or we can also go with the derived tables when you want to rename your prompts. Okay, that should be fine with IDT. Now let's focus on this one. This is the new one which SAP is really focusing on, this Design Studios. So if you can focus on this part, I think it should be more than enough. Okay. Now let's focus on Design Studio. So this will be the tool for creating your dashboards, or we use it to create applications. We don't say dashboards, we say we use it to create applications. Because it's a good tool with a lot of components being delivered, and it's more or less like your BexWare. They give a lot of components like drop-down box, checkbox, containers, all those stuff, and you use it and design your applications. And for all the customizations, use JavaScript here. Like say you want to write some events, you write some JavaScript. It is more and it forms HTML5 code. In the backend, it actually formulates as and when you keep dragging your components, it formulates HTML5 code. So it's more lighter weight component. For eventing, we use JavaScript. So by using and we'll have different set of components. Like we'll see what are the different components. And by using these components, JavaScripting, and then let's say you want to do some formatting. You want to set the background color as different one, or you want to do lots of formatting. Then we use CSS, cascading style sheets. Generally in where like we used to set background color, foreground color, all this. But here, if when you want to do all this, you have to go with CSS, cascading style sheets. Yeah. By using all this, you basically design your applications in Design Studios. I don't say dashboard because I say it's an application. You basically you can formulate different type of text boxes. You can formulate a form kind of stuff. User can enter some data and then you can save in. The data goes and sits into some data. You can develop all those kind of applications, not even dashboards. It is an extreme tool where you can develop your applications. Major important point about this startup. Now, when I basically open this, you can understand Design Studio is a standalone tool which can be deployed on HANA or BW or Business Objects. You should understand Design Studio is a standalone tool which can be integrated with either BW or HANA or Business Objects. So we say startup mode could be HANA or Business Objects Enterprise or what BW, anything it could be. For example, I have a customer. Let's say he's got BW, nothing else. Let's say it doesn't have any BO environment. There's no BO setup at all. You can still use what? You can use Design Studio and playing it on what? BW. It can consume the BEX queries, create your applications and publish it back to what? BW. Possible. Let's say there's a customer who's got, let's say, only HANA. There's no BW, nothing. Yeah? So you can still leverage Design Studio. You can consume your HANA views, create your applications, and deploy applications onto HANA Access Engine. HANA has got its own Access Engine bus. So we can also install, we can create your application, save it back to HANA, and deploy those applications on Access Engine of HANA database. Business Object Server అవసరం లేదు, CMC, BOE అవన్నీ అవసరం లేదు. And there could be a case where, let's say, they've got BW and they've got HANA. It could be any application, say BW, HANA, and let's say they've got non-SAP applications, anything it is. Okay, there will be a lot of applications like this. And let's say they've set up BO environment. Let's have got BOE, Business Objects Enterprise. BO server has been installed. Now what I can do? I can use Design Studio and create my applications, deploy it on what? Launchpad and start running. Means you basically have to install some add-on into my Business Objects to integrate with what? Design Studio. And what are the applications I create in Design Studio? I can publish it onto Business Objects Enterprise and start running from there. And from the BO Business Objects Interface, let's say I'm creating a Design Studio application which is connecting to BW or HANA, whatever it is. Then in CMC, I create those OLAP connections, and using those OLAP connections, I'll consume those BW objects or HANA objects, whatever it is. This is the major benefit of Design Studio. Is like a standalone tool, does not need BO interface to be leveraged. I can leverage it as a standalone tool, integrate with BW or HANA or BO Business Objects, depending on the scenarios. Okay, that's where I say startup mode as what do you want. Okay, or you can also go standalone. But look at this. Now when let's say I log into this Design Studio, and from there it's very simple. Yeah. Say Design Studio in the business intelligence. I have what Design Studio. I just log into this. I'll just show you how to use those components. See, it is basically getting into with which one? Enterprise. Skip voting. I can just say skip. This is my Design Studio. Let's say what I'll do. Tools. I'll say what? Preferences. Here I can say start. What is preferred startup mode? You want it to be playing it on BI platform or HANA platform or NetWeaver. When I say HANA, when you open the Design Studio, you try to log in with HANA login details. With HANA user ID and password, you log in, you create application. Application gets saved into HANA base, and it can start running on Access Engine. And if it's a BW, you log in with BW login details and use it as if it is a component of BW. When it's a startup mode as HANA, you would use it as if it's a component of HANA. That's the major benefit of this. Okay. I am okay with BI now. So I want to log in again. So I'm playing it on E scenarios. This is the case. I've got BW HANA or BW on HANA, other applications, and I've got BO server installed, and I'm using Design Studio to be playing on what? Business Objects Enterprise. Or I can say standalone and to just dummy, it doesn't play on anything. So when I log into BO, it asks me all the log sessions for BO server interface. So now I'm using this as a component of what? Business objects. And I can just close this welcome page. This is the screen of what I get in. So you see a tab called components, which will have list of analytic components, basic components, and container components. Analytic components, you will basically have the data representations in form of charts, cross tab, dimension filter panel, maps, navigation. All this will be analytical components. And you have basic components like button, chart type picker. Let's say you have chart, you can basically change the type of chart, checkbox, group of checkbox, date field, drop-down box, formatted view. Like you'll have lots of radio button, text box, all these components. Then you have container layouts. We use these container layouts to organize your components. Let's say I have multiple components to be placed in a application. I would like to organize them in form of a grid. Then I use this grid layout or page wise or panel, pop-up, tabs, okay, split cell. All this will be a container. These are the different components delivered. We can also install some extensions and bring in more components which are given from third party also, if available. Then there's a tab called outline, which will basically give you the dashboard structure. And you have a dashboard. Let's say I've got component one. Within the component one, we have 5 components, or within fifth component again I've got sub components. It does show me the complete map of the application, complete structure of the application. And this properties window will show for any component or any object I select, properties window will show me properties of it. And there are some components which will have additional your charts will have some additional properties which can be controlled from this tab. I can just close this all this, and you can get that out depending on your requirement. And this is your canvas. I can also, so I can basically get this like say tools, layout, okay, view, and you want to, I would like to see the components tab, yes, and view, I would like to see outline, view, I would like to see additional properties. View, I would like to see property. You can get that view back. Okay. And this is the screen you start designing your application. So now the logic here is you're playing your design studio on what? Startup mode is business objects. Now I would like to create a application in Design Studio, and what are the application I design, I can publish that onto Business Objects Enterprise to my Launchpad, where users can start running it from the portal. Now, when I'm creating this application, I would like to access like the views from HANA system. If my startup mode is HANA, since I log in with HANA details, when I say create application, it automatically asks me what view you would like to use. But since now Design Studio is playing on BO, it asks me which system do you want to connect? Do you want to connect to HANA or do you want to connect to BW? If it is startup mode is HANA, straight away it will ask you which view you want from that system. While logging in itself, I specify the HANA server name and login details. So straight away the data, when I say create my data set, it will ask me which view you want. But since I'm playing it on business object, which could be any source, it will ask me the connection name. Say for example, I would say, I'll just take some new application and say what is it? New application. This is, let's say some name, ZQ7, APP01. Some disk. Say what are the, say now you can use Design Studio. You can create your application which could be browser based, iPad or iPhone, anything you want. Automatically you'll have a theme which will basically change the syntax or formatting of all this. Not browser based, fine now. We can also use some templates what has already been given also. Okay. Now came template I'll say finish. I just took a blank template. This is my application. Now this is like canvas where I can start drag and drop my components and start designing my applications. Okay. Now see your outline starts. There's an application. It'll ask you about data sources, layouts, technical components, all this it will start showing you. So now I'm going to formulate, let's say I bring in one component like chart. Sorry, or I bring in like what, cross tab. Cross tab is like table kind of stuff which can show you data in form of rows and columns. I just drag this cross tab. Then what does it ask you? Assign. It is similar to your Bex WAD in BW where you connect you'll have a component. I need to bind some provider to this component. So here we refer that as data source. In WAD you refer that as data provider. Here you refer that as data source. Now here I'll have to define which is a component which is going to act as data source for my this thing. Which one do you want? I would like to refer to my HANA view. Yeah. So I would say right here in the data sources, I can right click on this and say what? Add data source. See, is it asking me connections or is it asking me views? If your startup mode is HANA, straight away it will ask you which view you want. Already the server is connected, it can ask me the view. But if it is, since it is on BO, it will ask me which connection you want to use. I might be using connection towards BW. I might be using some connection towards HANA. Then how did I get this connections out? I already created this overlap connections in what? If you go to CMC, in CMC I already created those connections. Okay. So in CMC you create the connections. Connections. Sorry. Go to overlap connections. See, I've got some overlap connection towards what? What is this here? Right click and say what? Properties. You can go to connection info where I've just selected some connection, or you can say manage new what folder. Right click. New. Here. I'll say what? So create new connection. Edit connection. I said this is new connection. I'm just saying ZQ7 what? HANA. HANA connection. And what is the provider for you? It's going to be what? SAP HANA and the server SAP Cubex. Instance number it's 01. If you want to connect a certain view, I can say connect. I don't want. And authentication, I want it to be prompt. Okay, and say save. So I've created my ZQ7 HANA connection, OLAP connection. If I get it back to this, if I say reload all, one second. How do you edit this connection? Edit connection 01 and let me give prompt. I'll just OLAP connections, Cubex connections, and let me just set it. Instead of saying prompt, let me fix the user ID and password what it has to use. System and welcome. So that is it. Now I should see my connections. I see this connection. Like this, you create your OLAP connection in CMC, and when I'm using this connection, ultimately I'm connecting to that server which I've given details in my connection. Say okay. So now we have choose this connection, which it understands that now you're trying to get connected to HANA. So when I go with data source browse, it will start showing me all my views. So I would like to use that SAP HANA CV sales year comparison done. And and this view will be referred as a data source. What is the name? DS underscore one. You can rename that also. I'm okay with DS underscore one. This is a data source. Same way, if you would like to connect to BW, then you can right click, add data source. Then you will use a connection relevant to what? Same way in CMC, you will create a OLAP connection connecting towards what? BW details. Then you will start choosing what? Say let's a BW connection. Say OLAP BW. Is down in the server. So look, BW when I say BW now, but you can just search some big queries can be leveraged as a source. Any connection, but yeah. Info is going to be say shell info area, say data mart layer, sales order, sales summary. This is a big square. అలాగే నువ్వు బిగ్ స్క్వేరీ వాడుకోవచ్చు HANA అయితే views వాడచ్చు. Okay, boss. Suppose now if you're using source as a BigQuery already has a layout. Yes or no? If you're using BigQuery already has a layout saying you already placed saying these have to be in rows, these have to be in columns. It already got a layout. So if I select this BigQuery and say edit initial view, it has already got some view. But already views will be sun because it's already got defined format of the view. But when it comes to view, HANA views, We only have all the objects, but did we design the view? Either rows lo undali, either columns lo undali, you never defined a view, right? So once you specify, select the data source, you'll have to define the view of it. So right click and say what? Edit initial view. I want product category into rows. దీంట్లో మెజర్స్ ఇవి రెండు ఉంటే ఓకే అన్నట్టు అన్నాను. Data not visibility because it has got some prompts, then that's why it is showing, it has got the prompt. That's, we are okay with this. Okay, and that's it. We have defined అంటే నాకు రోస్ లో ఏముండాలి, కాలమ్స్ లో ఏముండాలి, we have defined a view. And then connect this, drag and drop this data source to this component, or when you select this component, you see properties of what now? You see properties of the cross tab. Now here you can say data binding. I would like to bind this component with the data source, drop which one, DS1 or DS2? DS1. But only thing is it's not able to show data because it needs prompts. Prompts what is? If you click this button, show prompts, prompts run at design time. Run time lo malli vere. Design time lo I would like to see prompts and fill some values so that it does give me some data. And whatever the input parameters or variables you have, that comes as prompts here automatically. Bex lo మన variables automatic prompts గా వస్తాయి. You don't have to. Say 2012. 2013. Now it starts showing you some. Now it starts showing you data. You can just resize it. You can just drag and drop and resize it or normal. This is, we know this. Okay, Antya report. Pike this. So can we run this now? But look at the problem. I can just run this local. I'm just running locally for now. The local problem in the Malli. The prompts what I gave, that was for design environment. Now when at the runtime, again it's saying no data available. Why? At the runtime it is not prompting the prompts to the user. So I want him to force. You remember in BexWAD what do you do? In web terminal properties force variable screen under. Same here. When I select the application, you see properties of what? You see the properties of application and you see like force prompts on startup. False. What do I say? True. But now when I refresh this, you start getting out what? The prompts. 2012 is one prompt, and so 2013 is one prompt, and so okay. Now it starts showing you. Okay, now, and now this application can be saved onto your enterprise. Now I would like to save it to my application, to the enterprise. Execute this. You have something save as. In the launchpad, I've got public folders. In the public folders, I've got what? Cubex reporting, and I would like to say app 1 is fine. Now it's been saved. Right? Now once it has been saved, my end users would log into what? They'll log into launchpad. And then any user who's got access to that folder Cubex reporting, you should see an app, Q7 app 001. You just right click and see view. They can run the application from there. (2012), 2013. So okay. They can run this here. Same thing if I want to go with I want to go with iPad, iPhone or something. Then I'll say if the changes in when you go to the application properties, there's something called theme on it. You'll have properties called theme. Drop down. I'll say what? Mobile. కొద్దిగా స్టైలింగ్ అన్ని కొద్దిగా మారిపోతున్నట్టు. Then just say and check this మన లోకల్లో రిఫ్రెష్ ఆటోమేటిక్ మారిపోయింది, నువ్వేం పెద్ద చేసేది ఏం లేదు. 2012 ఓకే, 2013 ఓకే, ఓకే, I get this. So since I've done changes, I would like to save as we're going to overwrite that. నా iPhone I've done the changes and I should see a launch pad. 2012 2013. Okay, I get to see this. But I would like to run this dashboard not in the Pro system. I would like to run on iPhone or iPad, right? From View 4.1, it's very simple integration with mobile. Now I want to play this with mobile. I can say what is mobile properties, display on mobile, and I let him get save return this. That's just save and close. And for mobile, you'll have an app, SAP. You'll have an app called SAP BI, and you just have to I've configured my you just assign it to mobile category and say display on mobile. Yeah? And I get this application in mobile. See, I get IP1 and then I run. I just give that IP1 and IP2 and I run it on mobile. That's all. Very simple on the mobile integration. Yeah. So you understood the overall picture how it works out. So next point of focus is on more detailed options or components within this tool. Get this? Yeah. Okay, I would say create new application. ZQ7 app 02. Browser based is fine and blank template. How mobile will authenticate to run the DS report? We need to see you need to have, see, even when you connect through mobile, you'll have to give your user login and password of business objects. And any user who's got access to that folder, they can start running that. Yeah, you get this out. Now let's say I have this application and I have this application. I just want simple thing. Background, I would like to have a light, something like light blue color, something like that. In the background, I would like to have some light background color is light blue or something. So is it like formatting? Is it like formatting bus? Then I told you if it is formatting, you have to create your own, for all formats, you have to create what? CSS. See, when you go to custom CSS, it will ask me for it is asking me to upload CSS class, and then we can set that class here. ఓకే. సో నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఇక్కడ క్యూబెక్స్ లోనే ఇమేజ్ ఇక్కడ పబ్లిక్ ఫోల్డర్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాను, సేయింగ్ సిఎస్ఎస్ క్లాసెస్ అని ఒక ఫోల్డర్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాను. ఓకే, let me create one CSS class with all the formatting what I want, and I'll upload that class file into the business object server. But I don't know CSS. Now what is that you want to do? Open Notepad. I just want to write a CSS class just to set the background color as light blue something. What I'll do, మనం చదువుకునే నెట్లో ఫుల్గా ఉంటుంది అన్నట్టు. బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ కలర్ అని కొడితే ఇట్ రాయాలి, బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ కలర్ లైట్ బ్లూ అని పెడితే యూ గెట్ ఎ క్లాస్. I can copy this CSS style and then this, let's say this is my and this is my CSS style, and you create your classes like this, and then file, save as desktop, you save it as background dot css, you save it as dot css. Okay, then class pay real. You can give this at either class was, and like this in one CSS file you can create multiple classes. And let me just say okay, let me upload that file. Okay, so already get in the themes custom CSS, let's upload for the class. Okay, dot should be given for the class. Okay, dot background. Okay, I'll upload this into my folder CSS class. Uploaded. ఇక్కడ class చెప్పాలి, where to specify that. In the custom, okay, we specified the CSS, okay, file. Now what I'll do, I'll take some panel. ఈ panel ki I would like, in the application header I have uploaded my .css class. In the for the panel I would like to use that class. Now when you go to two things, when you go to this panel, rendu na chudu, CSS class cheppochu, style cheppochu. Style, if I go to style, I don't have to upload any class something, straight away I can specify the style here. Okay, what CSS background style and for example for background color light blue ఉంది కదా. So if I go if I have an option called CSS in this panel of properties, I've got CSS style. Straight away I can specify all the styles here. Sorry, ఇక్కడ styles కి ఇక్కడ ఇచ్చేది లేదు. Light blues. If you have the property called CSS style, straight away you can specify the CSS styles what you want. నాకు స్టైల్స్ కాకుండా స్టైల్లో రెడ్ అని సపోజ్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ కలర్ రెడ్. దిస్ వాస్ ఫ్రమ్ CSS స్టైల్. అట్లా కాకుండా I'll not use anything in the style. You remember we already uploaded .css file in my application to the business objects interface, and now I also told which CSS class should be used. In the entire CSS file, which class I want to use. The class name is body. E CSS class వాడు అంటాము. It asks me which CSS class should I use. Body. Like this, what you can do, you can create one CSS file with all kind of formattings you want. You create different classes. Dot and bitti. See, this is body color of class. Next, dot font color. You can create lots of font class and a lot of classes create this. You can upload this CSS file in the application, and then in each component you can use those class names. Other option. Or if I have a property called CSS style for this component, you can specify the styles directly here. If I use CSS class, I'll have reusability. I can create one .css file with all the classes into it, upload that in the application properties, upload that class file, CSS file, and in each component you can specify the class which one do you want to use. The formatting and see that doesn't make sense to ఇప్పుడు మళ్ళీ కూర్చొని సిఎస్ నేర్చుకుంటే కాదు, దిగాల వాడు అడిగే కొద్ది నెట్లో చూసుకుంటాడు, ట్యాగ్లు తగిలిస్తా ఉండాలి. బట్ యూ షుడ్ నో ఫర్ ఆల్ ఫార్మాటింగ్ ఐ యూస్ సిఎస్ఎస్ అంతవరకు. ఓకేనా బస్? నువ్వు ఏమని చేసుకోవచ్చు. లెట్స్ సే నాకు ఇలా అనుకో, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ in the background I would like to have an image bus. So do we have a component? What is image? And then you can make it big or anything you want. Matlab body ante ide kavalante just make it really big so that entire background is this image. And I can basically what I need to do, I need to upload some image. Then already కొన్ని ఇమేజ్ అప్లోడ్ చేసిన, there is a folder like images, దీంట్లో అప్లోడ్ అని చెప్పి ఆ ఇమేజ్ ఆల్రెడీ అప్లోడ్ చేసిన. ఐ జస్ట్ వాంట్ యూజ్ దట్ ఇమేజ్ అనుకో, ఇది నా ఇమేజ్. లైక్ దిస్ యూ కెన్ జస్ట్ గెట్ యువర్ ఇమేజెస్ అండ్ బ్రింగ్ ఇట్. యూ కెన్ యూజ్ ఎ కాంపోనెంట్ లైక్ ఇమేజ్, బట్ ఓన్లీ దిస్ ఇమేజ్కి నేను సోర్స్ చెప్పేటప్పుడు ఇట్ లాస్ట్ మీ టు అప్లోడ్ దట్. నేను అప్లోడ్ అని చెప్పి ఇమేజ్ అప్లోడ్ చేసేసుకుని then I can choose which image I want to be using it as source. Now this will be my backend. You can just drag and drop here to define the length, or you can go to this, you can say width and height. You can control with the pixel size also, anything you want. Okay. So this is how it is now. Okay, and then next I just want to show about using a cross tab. Just get the cross tab, assign source. Not simple. I just want to go with the chart. Year 1, year 2. I just want to represent that with the line chart. Makes sense, yeah. And I go with what? Bring out the chart component. Okay, and our data source layer, right click, create data source. It consume BW. I will use what? HANA connection. SAP HANA demo EPM address. I'll go this year-on-year comparison. I should say edit initial view, get the product category, and that's fine. And then let me fill the prompts. If filling only design time cables. Okay. Now I take this, or I can drag and drop and assign data source, or what I can go to properties of what chart adugutundi. Data source I can say drop down DS1. Now there could be an option possible code adinadu intro. There could be possible that let's say my data source has got lot of columns and 20 columns ఉన్నాయి. But for representing the data in the chart, I just want to use some 3 or 4 columns of it. Then I can go with what is data selection అని చెప్పి ఇప్పుడు చాలా డేటా సోర్స్ వన్లో షో అంటే ఇక్కడ డేటా రావాలి. then I can just select some column and say choose select అంటే అప్పుడు ఏమైంది ఓన్లీ ఆ మొత్తం రిజల్ట్ సెట్ లో ఓన్లీ దోస్ కాలమ్స్ విల్ బి యూస్డ్ టు రిప్రజెంట్ మై చార్ట్. ఐ కెన్ డూ దట్. Class అంటే నువ్వు you can upload a CSV file with certain class with all the formatting what you want. You can upload that. Chart type నాకు అదొద్దు. I want a line chart. Line chart horizontal. But you see the dimensions is complete different. Iదేంది ఇక్కడ అమౌంట్స్ వచ్చింది. I want to change my what is it? Dimensions label, show scaling, show totals. Swap access, but అది ఇక్కడికి పోయి అది ఇక్కడికి వస్తుంది. అది కాదు తేడా. I want my products. What can I contact control? What should be I can control. Look at this. You'll have some additional properties here. This is majorly for chart. You'll have this here. And now scaling either undali, you can say all this. I want this into the rows. Axis మారాలి. ఇక్కడ padding top, so title is okay, background color sure. In properties you have the option to swap access. That's the only thing good. But this is it is showing me, but for each product line it is showing me one line. For each year I want that product line, each KPI should be one line. So you can always control that. It takes some time, but if you start using some properties you should get that. And you can bring in some charts like this. Okay, boss. ఈ చార్ట్ ఒక ఇంపార్టెంట్ ప్రాపర్టీ ఏమంటే ఇన్ ద లేటెస్ట్ వర్షన్ ఇట్స్ నాట్ అబౌట్ జస్ట్ బ్రింగింగ్ అవుట్ ది చార్ట్ లైక్ దిస్. We also have an option called chart picker and ఉంటుంది. Let's see you're showing this chart. Now at the runtime my user can change the chart type what he wants to see. What is chart type picker? I'll just give this. Just say chart type picker could even trial, but okay. Just say now, just for the chart type, say chart references, say what chart 1. Okay, let's run this locally. Now I take this by sorry. ఎందుకంటే దానికి ప్రాంప్ట్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా. సో ఇన్ ద అప్లికేషన్ ప్రాపర్టీస్ ఐ షుడ్ సే ఫోర్స్ you get this chart. Now I can just say pie chart. You start showing in pie chart. I want it to be column bar chart. అట్లా వాడు ఏ చార్ట్ ఈజ్ గివెన్ సంథింగ్ ఆన్ చార్ట్ పికర్ వేర్ యూ కెన్ చూస్ ద టైప్ ఆఫ్ చార్ట్ వాట్ యూ వాంట్. ఓకేనండి. So you can play around with charts like this here. Next, I just want to focus on some eventing. Some simple. I have. Do we have something like product category, right? I just want to give some list box and all the product categories. And any product category I choose, I just want to see data only for those product categories. చూడు ఏం చేస్తున్నాను, ఒక్క ఈవెంట్ బేస్ స్క్రిప్టింగ్ అర్థమైతే యూ కెన్ రైట్ ఇట్. రెండు సింపుల్ అన్న, పెద్ద స్క్రిప్టింగ్ ఏం లేదు. గెట్ టు సెట్. సో ఐ హ్యావ్ లిస్ట్ బాక్స్, ఐ హ్యావ్ టేబుల్. ఫస్ట్ యూ షుడ్ రీడ్ ద వాల్యూ ఆఫ్ ద లిస్ట్ బాక్స్ వాల్యూ అండ్ సెట్ ద ఫిల్టర్ టు వాట్ టేబుల్. అంతే. You don't need scripting. If you can be logical, it's pretty much can be handled. So what do you want? First thing what you want is I want the container, which is what I want to show you. I want to have list box which will show you multiple list of values. Yeah, this is a list box. Now for this list box, I need to control the property saying the list box game content GPL. What should be shown in this content? I need to fill this list box, right? Yeah. So your data source one is someone column. Select this. You're seeing properties of this multiple selection. I would like to enable multiple selections. True. Items. What it asks me? Items under then values on it. For list of what items do you have something like insert? You want to specify one by one manually? Is it static list? Static list. Dynamically it has read this data from this data source one. From that which column product category values should be shown in this. When do you, I would like to write some logic for it, like read the values of this product category column from data source one and fill into list box. Now when do you want this event to be fired out? I'm writing some logic, but when do you want this logic to be fired out? As soon as the application runs in, I want this to be filled in this. So can I say on the startup of the application during this application startup events when I go to application properties, if you scroll down, there's something like eventing. You want to write some events on what is on startup. ఇక్కడ startup like the variable installation of background on before prompt submit. You can write coding at any event you want. On startup on before prompt submit on variable installation variables fill అయినా కన్నా ఎట్లనా ఓకే. On startup let the variable fill అయినా రాస్తాం, ఎందుకంటే because without variable it does not have the value of the categories. So I'll say on variable installation అని రాస్తా. ఏం కావాలి? What is it you want to happen? So even during the installation of the variables ఏం కావాలి? It has read data from this and set the value for list box. And then you are doing some property setup for what? List box. If you don't know writing code, you can say control space. It's in the assistance control space. List box one dot. And the dot. Set. Only control space it will give you help. Stuck it in Java. I'll write it down. Startup, control space, అంటే మళ్ళీ కంట్రోల్ స్పేస్ కొడుతున్నట్టు వస్తుంట ఏంది గెట్టా సెట్ రెండే ఫస్ట్ రెండు ఐడెంటిఫై చేస్తాయి చాలు సెట్ గెట్ సెట్ లిస్ట్ బాక్స్ సెట్ చేయాలి దాంట్లో వాల్యూస్ పెట్టాలంటే సెట్ తీసుకోవాలంటే గెట్ కాబట్టి ఎస్ లోకి వెళ్ళిపోం ఎస్ కూడా అటుగా దానికి వెళ్ళిపోతుంది సెట్ అన్ని ఒకటి కూడా సెర్చ్ చేసుకుంటూ సింటాక్స్ హెల్ప్ చెప్తుంది సెట్ సోన్స్ ఇది చూడేది కొద్ది రీజనబుల్ గా అసైన్ న్యూ లిస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఐటమ్స్ టు ద కాంపోనెంట్. కెన్ ఐ యూజ్ దిస్ ఆప్షన్? దాని సింటాక్స్ దాని కథ నువ్వు చదువుకో. ఓకే, సెట్ ఐటమ్ సెట్ వాల్యూ ఏం వాల్యూ స్పేస్ వాట్ ఇస్ వాల్యూ డేటా సోర్స్ 1 డాట్ దాంట్లో ఇప్పుడు డేటా సోర్స్ 1 లో గెట్ చేసి దానికి సెట్ పెట్టాలి. సో నో విల్ సే గెట్ మెంబర్ లిస్ట్ get member dimension or
get member display,
get member list of which list a dimension was product category member representation in the key na ikkada key text difference em undu hana kabatti it is bw key and text makes difference. Max number enni kavali oka 20 kavali and last you should end with semicolon అయిపోయి ఏంది కోడ్ పెద్ద. ఓకే boss, now let's check this out. 2012 list box like any values వస్తున్నాయన్న I can go around with the list box. Yes, and I said for list box I already said multiple selection enabled true anna ante I can select multiple shift pattukoni I can select multiple items. Okay, ఇది అయిపోయింది బానే ఉంది. Next, based on to show me results I need to show that in form of a table. I'll bring out what a cross tab, formatting nu chesukundam manamu. I bring a cross tab and I would like to assign a data source for it. So na logic endante I filled this value. When I select some value in the list box, I would like to take the values and filter what? Table. Instead of filtering table, what I will do is my table will be binded with some data source. I will take the values from the list box and filter the data source which is feeding my table. Then automatically the table content is filtered out. Kada? So what I'll do to connect to my table, I want the same data source like this. I'll say right click and say what? Copy. అలాంటిది ఇంకోటి కావాలి. రెండు డెఫినేషన్ సేమే ఏమంటే రెండు వేరే వేరే డేటా సోర్స్లు. ఐ కనెక్ట్ మై టేబుల్ విత్ క్రాస్ టాబ్ విత్ వాట్ ఇది డేటా సోర్స్ 2కి. ఓకేనండి, ఫైన్. సో వాట్ ఐ విల్ డు బేస్ వెన్ ఐ సెలెక్ట్ సమ్ వాల్యూ ఇన్ ద లిస్ట్ బాక్స్ ఐ విల్ ఫిల్టర్ డేటా సోర్స్ 2. డేటా సోర్స్ 2 ఇంటర్న్ విల్ ఫిల్టర్ మై డిస్ప్లే ఆఫ్ మై టేబుల్. అది నా కాన్సెప్ట్ క్రాస్ టాబ్. ఓకే, సో అప్పుడు where should I write my event? On the startup of the application or on select of list box? List box. So when I go to list box properties, event ఏముంది on select. On select ఏం చేయాలి boss నువ్వు చెప్పు. When I select the value in the list box, what should I do? Filter. ఇప్పుడు set get రెండు చేయాలి. You should get the values from list box and set what? Set the filter to data source. So data source 2 dot set filter up by getting value అంటాను. Okay, control space data source 2 dot set a get set filter which dimension product category. What is the value? A value in the list box సంబంధించిన value. So there is no fixed value of my list box. List box 1 dot లిస్ట్ బాక్స్ 1 సంబంధించిన సెలెక్టెడ్ వాల్యూ తెచ్చుకోవాలి. గెట్ సెలెక్టెడ్ వాల్యూ ఎట్లా ఏముంది ఇక్కడ మల్టిపుల్ కాబట్టి గెట్ సెలెక్టెడ్ వాల్యూస్. నువ్వు హెల్ప్ చదువుకున్నా నీకు అర్థం. నీకు ఫస్ట్ టైం చేస్తున్నా ఊరి పేర్లతో నాకు అర్థమవుతుంది అన్న పెద్ద కాన్సెప్ట్ ఏం లేదు. ఓకే, నాకు స్క్రిప్టింగ్ రాదు అదంతా ఏం లేదు, పేర్లు చూసి అర్థమవుతుంది. కెనాట్ కన్వర్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ స్ట్రింగ్ అరే. సరే, ఏదో మల్టిపుల్ లిస్ట్ దగ్గర సెలెక్షన్ దగ్గర ప్రాబ్లం వస్తుంది, సంబంధం లేదు, ఒకటి చాలు. రైట్, అయిపోయింది అంతే. ఏందండి, లెట్ మీ రన్ దిస్. Fire it out. Handles, select the handles, inject cells, inject. ఏ సెలెక్ట్ చేస్తే అంతేనా. Basically, if you can write those events about getting and setting, it's very simple. అంటే కొన్ని లాజికల్కి ఇట్లా రాసే బదులు ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ రైటింగ్ కోడ్ ఒక ఆప్షన్ ఉంది బస్, అంటే అన్నిటికీ లేదు. న్యూ వాట్ ఇస్ దర్ ఇస్ సంథింగ్ స్టేట్మెంట్ విజార్డ్ అని ఉంది. న్యూ స్టేట్మెంట్ విజార్డ్. యూ వాంట్ సెట్ ఫిల్టర్ ఆర్ క్లియర్ ఫిల్టర్? సెట్ ఫిల్టర్, ఓకే. You want to filter which data source? Data source 1 or data source 2? Data source 2. Which dimension of data source 2 do you want to filter? Priority category. Based on single value or correct selection of component. Fixed value value component, but which component was? List was. Automatic data source 2 dot set filter dot so and so so and so and so. Good. And finish. కానీ ఓన్లీ సెట్కి గెట్కే ఉంటాయి, ఎక్కువ కాంప్లెక్స్ దానికి లేవు అన్నట్టు. ఇంతన్నా ఎందుకు పెద్ద. ఓకే, సర్లే బస్. ఓకేనా బస్. అంటే యూ క్యాన్ రైట్ బేసిక్లీ జస్ట్ స్క్రిప్టింగ్ ఇన్ టు దిస్ ఈవెంట్స్ అన్నట్టు. చాలా ఈవెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి. బేసిక్గా యూ గాట్ టు బి లాజికల్ బస్. దీనికి పెద్ద కోడింగ్ కాదు అవసరం. లాజికల్, ఇఫ్ యూ థింక్ అబౌట్ సెట్టింగ్ అండ్ గెట్టింగ్, యూ కెన్ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ ఎనీ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ లాజిక్. లేఅవుట్స్ ఉంటుంది. I told you when you're creating application class, you want to choose an existing layout, it brings a layout. You just have to feed the data source. Sorry, boss. I just want to do something more standard. Now you bring in some logo, company name, only common. I can just use my image and bring company logo, title. I can bring in some text like that. You can do, I think. Next is I just want to do some formatting. ఇది చాలా భారీగా ఉంటుంది. What is this here? Filter panel. You'll have something of filter. You remember your Bex reporting? You remember Bex reporting in the browser? It will allow you for drill down, remove drill down, filtering. So if I use this filter panel, that gives me this I'll show you this component. Manchide. But I don't use this one. I want to use a different view. Then దాంట్లో ఒకటే ఉంది. I want to bring in with multiple. I use this purchase order overview, edit initial view. Measures ఉన్నాయి. ఇంకా ఇక్కడ చిన్న చిన్న formatting, decimal places, scaling factors, you can do some kind of formatting, and I want to see against company name. And then I just want to provide all this into filtering and navigation blocks. That's fine. Initially company name but and I just wanted to see data only for certain currency, say currency background filter betti, I can apply it, filter I can do all those stuff. Okay, a query is fine. Then sorry, okay, and I would like to see the data in a cross tab. ఫార్మాట్ మీరు లాక్కోండి. And I would like to assign this data source so that the cross tab will start showing me a database. But apart from this, I would like to provide flexibility to the user where he can do some filtering, drill down, remove drill down, drill across, whatever it is. Then I'll assign this data source also to what? Filter panel. Now when I go to the filter panel properties, data source is data source, okay? A target data source is what? These values are filled from data source, but even the effect should be for which data source? Default it will be DS3 only. Otherwise, if you want to have this different and filtering it to different data sources, I can select that. If I'm okay, more do it. Do you want this navigation block to be allowed only for filtering or drill down also, or both?
Both.
Filtering and navigation, filtering and navigation. Filtering and navigation look and feel, okay? And then it is showing all the dimensions. You can choose the list of dimensions what you want. నాకు అన్ని వద్దు, యూనిట్ ఇది వద్దు, weight unit వద్దు. Product సంబంధించి I want product category, product name, supplier region, product description, syllabus. You can just customize list of dimensions what you want also, and then you can start running this. Okay, now I've got my report drilled on company name. I would like to remove this. Let's say I would select this and supply. Now that is drilled down, removed. I would like to drill down on product name. Click this drill down and supply. I get drill down on product, and I want to remove this product name from the drill down. I want to go on the product category, and then within the product category again I want to drill down product name. You got category, and then you get name. I want to remove product category, and then so I want to remove name. I would like to go with the region. I would like to go with supplier country. Then I would like to go with supplier city. You can do all the stuff. And then I want to filter only for AMER. Okay, what I'll do? Supplier region. Select this. What is AMER and say what? Apply. Then you see the data filtered. Now within country, I want just Mexico and Canada. Then I'll say what? CA and then more US government. So like this, you can apply filtering and all those stuff. That is filter panel. Yeah. Same way, no drop down box, list box, and the order. I can also use some. I think thought you can get any thought you want. Suppose I want to go tab page, yeah, and I want to make this really big. First tab ఇది a table. It will this from here also I can say tab 1, and I want to bring the cross tab also into tab 1. So tab 1 లోకి నాకు ఈ ఫిల్టర్ ప్యానల్ ఈ టేబుల్ వచ్చింది. In tab 2 I want to have a chart. ఇక్కడ ఆర్గనైజింగ్ డ్రాప్ ఏ కాంపోనెంట్ లేదని కూడా చేసుకోవచ్చు. And then I want to bring in assign this data source 3 to this, and I'll say chart type. Okay, and then I want to bring in chart type picker into this. And for chart type picker, reference chart is my chart. Okay, boss. I'm going to tab rename చేసుకోవచ్చు data name data and second tab I want to name it as now when I run this I can have the tabs around. 1 and I can go to tab 2 amount. Okay, so you can organize in tabs. ఇంకా ఎట్లా అంటే నాకు ఇలా ఉంది బస్ ఈ ఉంది కదా నావిగేషన్ ప్యానల్ ఫిల్టర్ ప్యానల్ ఈజ్ ఆక్యుపైయింగ్ ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ మై స్క్రీన్ బాగలేదు ఆర్ మై చార్ట్ పికర్ ఇస్ ఆక్యుపైయింగ్ ఆఫ్ మై స్క్రీన్ ఓన్లీ వెన్ ఐ నీడ్ టు చేంజ్ మై చార్ట్ ఐ నీడ్ దిస్ కాంపోనెంట్ అదర్వైజ్ నో నాకు ఎలా కాబట్టి ఇది ఇట్లా క్లోజ్ అయి ఉండాలి దెన్ ఐ వాంట్ దట్ టు బి ఓపెన్ అవుట్ ఓకే ఒక బటన్ లాగా పెడతాను ఇప్పుడు నేనేం చేస్తానంటే ఐ గో టు ట్యాబ్ 1 దీని ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఐ జస్ట్ బ్రింగ్ ఇట్ ఇన్ టు ప్యానల్ ఒక ప్యానల్ తీసుకుని ప్యానల్ లేక్ ఐ విల్ టేక్ దిస్ అవుట్ టేక్ ది చార్ట్ ఇన్ ప్యానల్ లేక్ ఆ ఫిల్టర్ ప్యానల్ తీసుకెళ్తాను సో మై ఫిల్టర్ ప్యానల్ ఇస్ ఇన్ టు వాట్ ఇంటూ మై ఇది నా ప్యానల్లోకి అది ఉంది అన్నట్టు ఫిల్టర్ ఓకే దెన్ ఓకే అది రావాలి సప్పుడు ఏంది నా ఐల్ జస్ట్ బ్రింగ్ ఇన్ సమ్ బటన్ ఇటు పైన ఫిల్టర్ అని ఒక బటన్ పెడతా I'll name this button as what show filter but sorry button text show filter so initially what I'll do this panel out undi and once the panel comes in he uses it after using it I want him to have flexible to close it ఈ క్లోజింగ్ కి మళ్ళీ ఇంకో బటన్ పెడితే ఇక్కడ ఈ ప్యానల్ లోపల నీకు అక్కడ ఇంటూ మార్క్ లాగా రావాలంటే పైన పెట్టి ఎక్స్ మార్క్ పెడితే అట్లా కూడా యూ కెన్ యూజ్ దట్ ఎస్ అ బటన్ ఇట్స్ అబౌట్ యూజింగ్ ఇట్ క్లోజ్ ఇక్కడ నాకు ఐ వాంట్ దిస్ బటన్ ఎస్ వాట్ క్లోజ్ అని పెడతాను ఓకే ఇదంతా ఒక ప్యానల్ అన్నట్టు సో ఇనిషియలీ వాట్ మై ప్యానల్ విల్ బి సెట్ as this my panel 1 I'll set the visibility to false initially ga kanapadaru asalu on click of this button edi show filter ana button on click anra on click em cheyali aa panel undi kadanda on click em chesta panel 1 dot so set visible okay ఏం పెడతారు ఇది బూలియన్ సో TRUE ట్రూ అని రాసి అంటే సెట్ విజిబుల్ ట్రూ అంటే ఏమవుతుంది ప్యానల్ ఇస్తాం ఇంకా నువ్వు ఇఫ్ కండిషన్ రైట్ ఇఫ్ ప్యానల్ ఈజ్ విజిబుల్ ఈజ్ ఫాల్స్ దెన్ సెట్ టు ట్రూ రివర్స్ కండిషన్ చేసినట్టు కూడా చేయొచ్చు ఓకే తర్వాత నెక్స్ట్ ఈ బటన్ ఈ ప్యానల్ క్లోజ్ ఉంది కదా ఆ క్లోజ్ కొట్టాడు ఏం చేయాలి ఐ నీడ్ సెట్ దట్ బ్యాక్ టు వాట్ హైడ్ ప్యానల్ 1 డాట్ సెట్ విజిబుల్ ఫాల్స్ కొడితే హైడ్ అవుతుంది ఇప్పుడు ఏం ప్లాన్ చేసినప్పుడు చూపించేకి క్లోజ్ చేసేకి పెట్టినాం ఇంకా కొద్దిగా బారీకి చేయొచ్చు అంటే ఇప్పుడు వెన్ యూజర్ క్లిక్స్ ఆన్ షో ఫిల్టర్ చూపిస్తుంది అనుకో ఆ షో ఫిల్టర్ బటన్ పని చేయకూడదు డిసేబుల్ అయ్యేటట్టుగా యూ కెన్ డూ ఆల్ ఈ క్లోజ్ చేసినప్పుడు అది ఆ బటన్ ఎనేబుల్ అయ్యేటట్టుగా ఇష్టతరం చేయొచ్చు ఇట్స్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ థాట్ ఓకే నాకు టేబుల్ ఏం కనపడదు వెన్ ఐ క్లిక్ షో ఫిల్టర్ దెన్ ఇట్ కమ్స్ ఇన్ దెన్ ఆఫ్టర్ ఐ డూ యూజ్ దిస్ ఐ వుడ్ క్లోజ్ ఇట్ ఇంకా అది మరి కొద్దిగా They can also do some animation kind of effect. It like collapse, it open it, close it. They can do. Can you do similar kind of stuff with this also? At a panel వాడుకోవచ్చు, you can do some kind of eventing. Running a thought on it. It's about you can use drop down box, text box, list box, all this stuff, and then create it. Is it design studio generally? అంటే మొత్తం డిజైన్ స్టూడియో చెప్పినట్టు కాదు. And yeah, I can create child, one more tab. Let's say the map data and tab 3. I'll set that. Either again map. So I got one more tab here. దీనిలో జియో మ్యాప్ తీసుకురావాలి. For example, you can bring in your maps, and then I can basically configure its properties saying data source is what? Data source 3. Measure which I would like to do is I just want to represent net amount. Geo file, I don't have, but key mapping. You can see on select. Country windows. Something where I can link that country column to this. And let's see this. Or geo maps, this is. You can see the period with US country, then Canada, then the US, year, and then Japan. You can do some color formatting, and then you can get geo maps also into this. You have all this. It's about your thought. No, ఏ రేంజ్లోకి తీసుకెళ్తా ఆ రేంజ్. Yeah. And actually, when Design Studio was old 1.3, we had a lot of performance issues. When I was building this dashboard application by using Bex queries, let's say కొద్దిగా రిక్వైర్డ్ బాగా కాంప్లెక్స్ అయితే ఇట్లా సోర్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా. అంటే for eventing, what I'm doing, I'm using same view as multiple data source. Data DS1 and DS2 both are same view. Atla same Bix తో చేసేటప్పుడు ఏమైందంటే సేమ్ Bix query I was using 5 times, 6 times. Then I used to use some 20 Bix queries to create one dashboard, and the performance was really bad. In 1.5 is given something called parallel query execution, where the queries are executed parallelly and the performance is also handled better. The Design Studio. Okay, so we'll stop it here today. Tomorrow I'll touch on something on Lumira and OLAP analysis, and then I'll revise on, in the interview point of view, how should you project on HANA, like saying నేను ఏం చేసినట్టు project చేయాలి, and what are the kind of questions you get, and how do you handle this. So based on that discussion, you should be able to prepare your profile on your own. I'll just show you where to look at. That is not fuzzy search. I showed you syntax already. The concept thing, but I'll show you where to get the details, because you're not really using. Confusion the part. No one is really using it. Even means unstructured data. I'll show you where to get that. The concept like that. Okay, so tomorrow we'll do that. Okay, please focus on how to shape up. Yeah, tomorrow we'll discuss on that point.
అది మీరు మైగ్రేషన్ డాక్యుమెంట్ చెప్పారు కదా,
Ah,
అది రావట్లేదు. మీరు ఉంటే
పంపిస్తాను.